a woman's intuition with her body. I knew something was going on. And she was like, you need to go get a pregnancy test right now. And you can probably tell she was not happy. It was positive, and I'll never forget that, just that sinking feeling in my gut of holy cow, like everything's changing. You are not in your rational mind in that moment.
Once that test is positive, my memory very much kind of goes blank after that.
It was a very difficult time of my life. My parents had for sure announced it. We're getting divorced. Things were starting to happen. They were listing the house. During that time is when I kind of formed this relationship that was not healthy. I was just going to get rid of this problem. I had no idea where we were going to live. I can't live in the dorms.
A lot of times I find women want to just forget that it ever happened. Move on, get married, let's pretend, sweep it under the rug, that hardship never happened. But that just further isolates the women who are experiencing it in today's world.
I had my daughter in February. I got a phone call from my coach, and he was like, I was thinking about you, and we need this position on the team. How would you feel about coming back and playing?
How are we going to do this? How are we going to juggle just college and then collegiate sports and a baby? Today's guest shares a raw and hope-filled story. She found out she was pregnant at 20 years old while playing collegiate basketball at a small Christian school. Fear and uncertainty quickly followed. What could have ended her dreams became the very thing that pushed her forward. With her daughter by her side, she continued to chase her dreams both on and off the court. Not only did Kelly carry the weight of single motherhood, but she also competed as a collegiate athlete, all while finishing her degree, proving to herself and others she was capable of far more than she'd ever imagined. If this is the first time you've listened to this podcast, welcome. Unplanned and Untold is completely donor funded, and we rely on generous supporters like you. If you believe that no student mom should have to face an unplanned pregnancy alone, consider making a tax-deductible donation through the link in our show notes. And if you're enjoying this show, a free and easy way to help us out is by leaving a 5-star review. It truly makes the world of a difference. So without further ado, let's welcome Kelly to Unplanned and Untold. So Kelly, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. I've heard a little bit about your story, and I am so excited for our listeners to hear more about everything that you went through and how you overcame so many different obstacles. So thank you for taking the time to be here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's such a privilege to be here. I love what you're doing. So
thank you. And to all of our former athletes or current collegiate athletes, this is a story you're going to want to hear, as Kelly played basketball in college. And so let's rewind a little bit, Kel. Tell me a little bit about how growing up with your family was like, what things were like before college.
Yeah, I had a great childhood. I can't complain. I have an older sister, younger brother. Classic middle child,
That's me too.
Oh, I love it.
Middle children unite.
Yes. Oh my gosh. The struggle's real.
It is real. Yeah. Can we get some credit? I look at my children
Seriously.
And I might favor my middle child a tiny bit more because I fully understand.
Well, and you have 5 kids, right? So they're middle.
I've got 2 like middles, and I'm like, ooh, you both share that drama perfectly.
It's so true. Oh my gosh.
It really is.
So, that was a factor. But I mean, other than that, can't complain. I had such a good childhood. Like my parents lived comfortably financially. We took a lot of vacations.
Love it.
My parents were like my biggest cheerleaders growing up. They were always down for me to try whatever I wanted, and really encouraged that basketball career. So, yeah,
that's exciting.
Can't complain. I feel like everything in my life kind of fell into place growing up. So
that is so exciting. So did you always have the thought process of, I want to play basketball in college?
No, I did not.
Okay.
So basketball, I started when I was in first grade and just hit the ground running. It was intense. I actually took a break in middle school, and I tried because I was so burned out.
I bet.
And so I tried like acting and musical theater and
whoa, totally different.
And that was like, my mom was super excited because it was all athletes in the family. And she was like, finally, my princess, and so I tried, and I loved it, like had a blast, and picked up playing piano. But when high school rolled around, I had friends that played basketball, and I was like, the desire was there to pick it up again and be on a team, and just all that high school basketball entails, like I looked forward to. So I decided to go back, and that's when it took off. And I had I had some schools showing interest, but not a lot. So honestly, my junior year, I was kind of like, maybe it's not for me. Maybe I should pursue like the military or something like that. Just kind of keeping my options open. And I feel like the college that I did go to kind of chose me and gave me an offer that I couldn't pass up. So,
wow. So it just kind of got dropped in your lap.
yeah, I feel like that's how a lot of things, happened for me. Obviously, I worked really hard. I can't deny that. I worked really hard at basketball and put in a lot of hours, but I was never, I wasn't that kid that was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to play at this college or this university. It was kind of like, we'll see what happens.
That's beautiful, though. Absolutely beautiful. So what did college look like before you got pregnant?
So I went to the master's. It was called college back then. Now it's university. And it was a very small Christian school. Think like church camp, but all year.
Wow.
So
all right.
I want to say it was like 1,500 students. So everybody knew everybody. The athletes were the more well-known people on campus. Athletics was big because that was like one of the only things to do.
Yeah.
Was go to games.
What state was this in?
In Southern California.
Southern Cali. Got it.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there were other things to do, but, it was one of the draws of the campus is like, it was just close knit. Everybody knew everybody. And so everyone supported everyone. And that they made it really fun. Yeah, it was a good experience.
I mean, being a close-knit school and being small, that has its pros and cons, because when I got pregnant in quite a large university, I felt like all eyes were on me. So I can't even fathom what it felt like at a smaller school, nevertheless a religious school. So I can't wait to deep dive into everything that you endured through that process. But how did you found out you were pregnant? What age were you? And do you still remember that day?
Oh, 100%. I will remember that day till the day I die.
Same.
But, oh, man. So I was 20 years old, and it was the summer after my sophomore year. So I was right in the middle. I had also, it was such a horrible, I say horrible, but it was also great. It was a very difficult time of my life. That year, my parents their marriage was falling apart, after 25 years. And so it wasn't just a instant thing. It was quite a road to get there, that involved everyone. So even that year of school, my sophomore year, was tough. It was every time my parents came out for a game or my dad came out for a game, it was like, we might not make it, and it was like, okay, you're dumping this on me after I just played a game.
Yeah, that's a heavy burden to carry.
So I would like try to lean on my teammates, but it was something that's going on in the background while I'm just trying to survive college and playing basketball. So during that time is when I kind of formed this relationship that was not healthy, as you can imagine, being 20 years old. And I will say this, like, an attractive guy on the basketball team is starting to slide into those DMs, you know?
It's so, hard to resist.
Yes. And so I fell prey to it. And there's this whole culture on Christian campuses of the ring by spring. I don't know if that's
really.
Yes. I don't know if that's a thing on like public schools, but at Christian colleges, like, everyone's looking for that ring and that like marriage relationship,
the commitment.
And so, and I kind of would laugh at it, but it gets to your head. And I'm like, I'd love to find somebody who doesn't want that. And so that was always on my radar. And so when this guy slid in and my parents were going through what they were going through, like, it was just an easy distraction.
Absolutely.
and took my mind off of it. And I know he was also going through something personal as well with his family. And we developed a really deep friendship that evolved into, I mean, naturally just evolved into something sexual.
Absolutely.
And so it was, we conceived at the very end of the semester. It was literally finals week. I think it was like the last day of the week. And so I moved home for the summer, and which was local, Southern California. And he was a senior, so I thought he was done. And he's from South Carolina, thought he was just going back to South Carolina. So I took that as my opportunity to ghost. And that was, this is like not what to do. But I was 20 years old and I was like, just, wipe my hands clean. This is my opportunity. Like I knew it wasn't healthy. And it
was
just
a fresh start in your mind.
Yeah. And so during that summer, I also had torn my ACL pretty early on because I like a woman's intuition with her body, like I knew something was going on.
We know.
And I didn't want to face it. And so I would but I wasn't in school. I was on summer. So I'm like, I got to find something to do. So I would spend like 5 hours at the gym playing basketball and weightlifting and all of that. And just one night I'd spent too long there and tore my ACL playing pickup games. So,
oh my gosh.
And then had surgery. So
at that point, did you know you were pregnant?
No.
No, you still didn't know.
Yeah.
So how do you find out?
So I was in denial and it was right at the time, like my parents had for sure announced it, like we're getting divorced. Like things were starting to happen. They were listing the house, and like we were trying to find a place to live, and I knew I had confided in my sister of like, I think something is not right with my period, worded it that way, trying to like maybe her to tell me, oh yeah, that's normal, so that I could feel better. Oh my gosh. But I finally went to my mom and I just said similar wording, like something's not right. And she was like, you need to go. Cause she knew the relationship that I had with this guy. I had opened up to her about it and she was like, you need to go get a pregnancy test right now. And you can probably tell like she was not happy. And so I drove, across town. I went to a Rite Aid that I knew nobody would recognize me at.
The lengths we take to make sure that we keep this hidden. It's a common thread on this podcast.
Yep. I'm like, no, there's no way. So I, picked it up and I went across town. It was a long drive to be in my thoughts and fears and knowing that my mom was probably not happy when I was getting back. But surprisingly, she was actually really supportive and she had kind of calmed down and she was like, okay, she was in the bathroom with me and we did it. And it was positive and I'll never forget that, just that sinking feeling in my gut of like, holy cow, like everything's changing, and I immediately wanted an abortion. I told myself like, oh my God, yes, I've been thinking about it. This is the route I want to take. I can't go through with doing this, especially at this time when my parents are getting divorced and so many things are uncertain. I had an injury that I had to come back from and just all of that. But my mom, she was right there and she was like, you know what, like, I will support you in whatever you want to do. Like, if that's the route you want to take, like, I'll help you figure that out. And so I actually made an appointment and it was for a few days later. And that's something else I would say to anyone. Like, you are not in your rational mind in that moment,
You're really not. You can't even remember a lot. Once that test is positive, my memory very much kind of goes blank after that.
Exactly. Yeah. You literally black out in that moment. Like just the fear, the adrenaline just takes over.
So you'd made an appointment where?
It was, gosh, I don't even remember what it was, but it was some kind of an abortion clinic.
Okay.
And it was, I didn't even know if there was going to be a cost. I didn't like, they were like, we can take you Friday. And I'm like, okay, put me down.
Right.
Like I was just going to get rid of this problem.
Right.
So that morning of the appointment, luckily, I'm telling you, like my mom is such an angel. She came to my bedside right as I was opening my eyes and she was like, please, like, just take a few more days.
Wow.
Because she was just afraid of me regretting any decision made that quickly.
Okay.
So she's like, just at least don't go, just take a few more days. And if you still want to go through with it, then go through with it. And so I did. I didn't go that day and just really started to weigh the options after that.
Wow. Now, did you end up landing at a different type of an appointment where they were able to explain all of your options in depth?
Yeah. So that day, my mom, we piled in the car and she drove me around. We tried to go to a Planned Parenthood, but I don't remember what their situation was. I don't think they had like appointments available that day or something, or I think maybe I got like a pamphlet. And then we went to another clinic that was called Birth Choice. And that was like a free clinic where they, give free ultrasounds and tests and they go through your options. And so I do remember sitting down with somebody and they went through my options with me, and just kind of, told me about each one. They were not biased. They just plainly told me about the options like parenting, adoption, abortion. Okay. And I remember feeling very like supported in that moment. Like it was nice to feel support from strangers who didn't know anything about me. And, they were just like, here are your options, and kind of gave me that affirmation of like, if you do choose to parent, you can do it. Like there are options, there are resources. And so that was comforting, but I also in my mind was kind of like, no, I'm pretty much set on abortion.
So what did change your mind and when did you make that final decision?
There's like two major things that happened in that decision-making process that I remember. One was I went online and just started Googling anything and everything. Okay. And I came across an article about a woman who chose to have her baby and parent. And I specifically remember this like picture at the bottom of this article with her and her son, and she's at her college graduation.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was that moment where I was like, if she can do it, I can do it.
Wow.
And it was like as simple as that,
That's
just
all it took.
The validation, and just that, like the image of that other path,
Absolutely.
that could actually be very rewarding and very real.
So once you had seen that and that solidified a lot for you, walk us through, what does it look like returning to college? What does it look like returning to the basketball team and telling your coach and teammates? That had to be terrifying in itself, probably second to telling your parents.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember because I made that drive up to campus. I set up a meeting with my coach and it was, hour and a half both ways. And so I'm terrified. Absolutely terrified the entire drive. And I went by myself and I remember because he was like a second dad to me. Like we had that kind of relationship. Yeah. And I remember just like, I could barely get the words out just through tears. And he met me with so much compassion, literally not an ounce of judgment. I was not expecting that at all. I was expecting some kind of like disappointment and scolding, from a parent. And he was so compassionate and so loving and excited for me and started asking about the baby. And I'm like, I haven't even like made that connection myself. Like, like I haven't thought about the future. I'm very much just like in panic mode.
Surviving, dude. We're still surviving, coach.
Like, Like, I got like 9 months, even though at that point I was like 3 months along at least.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that was terrifying. And, but I spent a couple hours in his office just talking about it and never once feeling guilty or feeling ridiculed.
Right.
And that, like, it spoke volumes to me.
It's really amazing. What about your team? Was the plan, I mean, you obviously can't play when you're pregnant. So
Yeah.
what did that conversation look like? And did you have to step away completely from the team?
Yeah, so I remember we did like a conference call because it was still the summer. Nobody was back yet. So we did like a conference phone call. And I remember my coach had me write something up that I was going to say and kind of like rehearse it. And so that's what we did. And I remember leaving the conference call and just my phone flooding with texts just of support. Of just like, we're here for you. Like, I love you so much. Just texts like that and no judgment. And like, again, the comments about the baby, like, can't wait to be an auntie. And I'm just like, I haven't even wrapped my head around me being a mom at this point. So yeah.
Wow.
And then obviously, like, I couldn't, we never really talked about what it would look like for me to stay at the college, but I remember my coach said, we're going to help you figure out how to graduate.
Okay.
So like after having my baby, like I knew that door was open. They would help me figure out how to get back and graduate.
Right.
Especially because being at a private school, it's hard to transfer those units. And I'm like, if I'm going to graduate, it's going to have to be from that place.
Right.
Otherwise, like, I'm back to square one. So I knew that door was open. And so I did go back. I stayed home. And my plan was I was just starting to look up, like, what kind of job could I get right now? And I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't know who would hire a pregnant person. I mean, I don't think I have to disclose that. But
right. Legally, but yes, you're right.
But I was just like, I gotta figure something out because I know this road is about to be expensive. Mm-hmm. So, and while I was doing that, both my parents were like, no, you're not working. And like, I'm truly blessed to have the support that I did because they were like, we're gonna get you through college and you're gonna graduate. Like,
that's amazing.
End of story. Yeah. And so they wouldn't let me get a job. I'm like, please, just like even Uber, like something. And they were like, no. Like, you need to be in school. So I did enroll in classes at the community college.
Great.
The local place where everyone went from my high school. and took some online classes. I took a full load the first semester. Like, it was like 15 or 18 units. Wow. I'm like, I got to crank these out. And then
that's what we always suggest. Get in as much schooling as you can, even when you're not feeling well beforehand, because once baby's here, it's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah. So I had my daughter in February, and so that semester beforehand, like, just loaded up, and then that second semester, I was going to try to do a full load, and I could manage like 2 classes. So I ended up just taking those 2 classes. And then at the end of that semester, it was around Mother's Day in May, I got a phone call from my coach, and he was like, I was thinking about you and we need, this position on the team. How would you feel about coming back and playing?
Stop it.
Yeah.
Were you beside yourself?
He was like, think about it, get back to me. I'm like, okay. I get off the phone and tell my mom, and we both just start laughing. We're like, he's out of his mind. Like,
how are we going to do this? How are we going to juggle just college and then collegiate sports and a baby?
Yeah. I was like, this is crazy. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, but also I think I'd be an idiot if I turned this down.
Crazy cool.
Yeah. I was like, so I better just accept it and see what happens. And if it happens, cool. If not, like, whatever. And so it was crazy to me, but I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yes. So what does this look like? I mean, I really can't even fathom. We had a couple others on the podcast that have been collegiate athletes. But it is a wild experience. Both of their experiences going, back on the team and playing with a little one. You've got to spill the beans. How does this work?
Yeah, literally all the pieces fell into place. Like literally, and housing was that last piece that fell into place days before the semester started.
No way.
Everything else was lined up. I had no idea where we were going to live. No idea. Because I'm like, I can't live in the dorms.
Right.
You
Right.
know? And so it was like, and it's such a small school, so there wasn't a lot of off-campus housing and apartments and things like that. And so literally at the last minute, it was like a family connected to the college was like, we have a room.
Stop
I'm like,
it.
Okay, sign me up. I met them, and like the next day we moved in.
Oh my gosh. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So
was
what does it
crazy.
look like juggling all of the things by yourself? I mean, at this point, the father of your baby, it sounds like he wasn't very involved and it was all on you.
Yeah. Yeah, he was kind of in and out.
Okay.
He was living in South Carolina, not super involved, and so a lot of it did fall on me. He and I didn't have the best relationship since I ghosted him.
Yeah.
So a lot of feelings there.
I bet.
And so, yeah, I was on my own, but I had the support of my family, and they were kind of like, we are going to help you in any way we can. And so my parents, they weren't super well off, and they were going through divorce. I honestly don't know how they helped me, but they did. They sent me some money every month to help cover rent because this family had a room to rent, and they were super generous, and they gave me a very good price. But it still costed money. Absolutely. And then it was like childcare. I have to figure out who's going to watch my daughter while I'm at practice, in class, traveling for games. Like it was, and all I can say is it was a circus. It was like, I found people online to babysit, and it was through trusted,
Absolutely.
websites. I wouldn't hand my kid off to anyone.
No.
But it was like a couple of those people. It was like a friend whose sister was on the team. She was such a godsend. I paid her like next to nothing because I didn't have much, but she was so willing. And she, like, at the drop of a hat, I'd be like, can you, take her here or watch her here? And she would be like, yeah, okay, sure. And I'm like, oh, like she would literally pile my daughter in the car with the car seat, bring her to the games that were home games. Wow. And like, so there she would be in the stands, and I'm like, it was wild. And then my family, they lived an hour and a half away, but they all would help however they could. Like they would drive up on game days just to babysit and take her to the game and then drive home. Or like my mom would babysit her over the weekend, and I'd be meeting my 16-year-old brother halfway to, hand her off to him, and he would drive her back to my mom. And it was just every weekend, every game. Some games were weeknights too, where we're traveling, and it was like, it was texting the village, like who can handle this night and who can handle this night. And but it was like we made it happen, made it work every single time. Like I didn't miss a game. I didn't miss a practice. There were moments where my coach's daughters would be pushing her around in the stroller at practice. Yeah. And that became a normal thing. So it was like, or times I'd have her in the locker room, and we're going over film and she's there. Just times like that, and my coach was really understanding and really gracious. And there'd be times where I'm like, I can't go to weightlifting today. Like I don't have a sitter, and that's not a place I can bring my babies where there's a bunch of heavy weights. And he'd be like, okay, no problem. Don't worry about it.
I mean, you persevered through so many different obstacles. What kept you going? There had to be something inside of you that kept pushing you and motivated you to be able to juggle all of this. What was it?
I mean, it boils down to my daughter. It gave me a sense of purpose, you know, caring for another human being. And I didn't want to be, it was also a sense of pride. I didn't want to be another statistic. I didn't want to be, you know, a single mom who's just trying to make it and can't afford anything and on food stamps the rest of my life, you know? And so I just wanted I wanted a good life for her. I wanted a good life for us. And I knew that obviously getting a college degree is a step in that direction. And so on those, and I knew too, it wasn't forever. You know, once I graduated, that would relieve a lot of stress.
Exactly.
Even just finishing basketball. I'm like, I know that this isn't forever. It's just a period of time and we're going to get through it and there's going to be something on the other side.
Absolutely. What was it like at a small Christian college being that student mom? I mean, now you're still in the spotlight as an athlete, so it's undeniable that you now have a child. Do you feel like there was any chatter? And if so, how did you handle it?
I knew very early on that there would be chatter, and I had to learn who was safe and who wasn't. And so you can tell when somebody's asking you questions if they're genuinely caring or if they want the tea.
Yep. And everyone wants the tea to a certain degree. And social media has enhanced that tremendously. But that's why this podcast was really important to me, because I felt like nobody ever heard the story from my mouth. Nobody ever got to see what was behind the curtain of being a student mom and the reasons for the decisions I made and everything that I had to overcome and hear the story out of my mouth versus what got telephoned along campus along the way. It really is an opportunity to give women the platform to take their narrative back and for people to understand how it built us in a way.
Mm-hmm. I love that it's an opportunity to shift from criticism to compassion.
Exactly.
Because I do think that's lacking in a lot of circles, a lot of avenues. And I definitely felt that at school. And just a lot of comments from people that were ignorant, maybe people who didn't know my story or didn't know the situation. And I remember one specific comment from somebody that I'll always remember. And it was, two actually. One, because I would occasionally bring her to the cafeteria. Yeah. And I laughed too because my daughter is half black. And so she did not exactly look like me very much as a baby. And so I got the question of, oh, how often do you babysit her?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah.
And that one is how do you even respond?
Oh, I told her, I'm like, if someone's going to ask that question, I'm going to let them feel awkward.
I love that. I love it.
I'm like, actually, I don't babysit her. This is my child.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
And just seeing the wheels turn of, oh, gosh. Shouldn't have asked that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how, some of those comments, some of those ignorant comments, they just land and they kind of stick with us forever. And it's interesting, the ones that stay in our memories and the memories that I no longer have, that have fluttered away because you're in survival mode at that point in time. Graduating. Now, this is always the most fun thing to talk about on this podcast because a lot of women, it's the whole reason they overcame all the obstacles that they did. They wanted to get to graduation. Like you said, we don't want to be another statistic. Nobody is overjoyed when we find out we're facing an unplanned pregnancy, regardless if you have resources or not. So take us back to graduation day as a collegiate athlete who did it all. You had to be so proud.
Yeah. I had so many people there cheering me on. And just so many people from afar cheering me on that it was such a sweet moment that I felt like it was a collective celebration. Like it felt like a tribute to all the people that stepped up and helped me along the way. So it did feel like it wasn't just me. It was I felt like celebrating so many people, even like the people I lived with, you know, they became like family to me, and they were there at my graduation. And my coach, I think he had tears in his eyes that day, and like just so many of us, you know. And it felt so rewarding. And just like having my daughter there as well, like it's a moment that I hope she looks at as motivation of like, if my mom can do that, then so can I. Or whatever challenges she faces one day, you know?
Exactly.
So yeah, just such a sweet moment.
I love that. So I believe we had originally found you through TikTok.
Yes.
Yes. And so this podcast is birthed from the nonprofit Baby Steps. And our goal is to provide housing, community, and support for student moms on college campuses to empower them to have both their education and their baby. And so my question to you to wrap this up is, what are your hopes when it comes to future conversations surrounding unplanned pregnancies on college campuses?
I think my hope, and this probably comes from being at a Christian school, is that it wouldn't be as taboo.
It's still taboo not at a Christian school, girl.
Yeah. And it just makes me laugh because, you know, people are having sex and it's like, but you only know that I did because of the evidence on the outside. So, but no, I hope that it can be a more normal conversation and it can be support, you know, with no strings attached, and no guilt or shaming, but just support, and just affirmation for your young moms that they can do it. Because like, I don't think we realize the power in encouragement and in validation and in affirming. And I wish that was a more normal part of our culture.
Exactly. And I'm sure I know the answer to this question, but do you feel like if Baby Steps would have been around back in the day, that this would have been a resource you would have needed and wanted at that time?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I spent hours, days just like Googling anything, something that could help me along the way. And there were some government assistance programs.
Sure.
But it wasn't enough. And it wasn't, those programs aren't a person saying, hey, you got this, you can do this, we're here for you. And that's what I wish would be at every college campus.
Exactly. Hearing that, you finding even a blog post online of somebody at their graduation who had done it, and that was enough for your wheels to start turning on, as far as, actually, if somebody else did this, I probably could too. That is overwhelming to hear, especially because we have so many student moms who have graduated through our program, and our hope is to get this out on as many college campuses as possible, even if it's just the podcast for now and a hub comes to their college campus later on, for them to hear these stories of hope and empowerment. You can do this. You're not the first. You won't be the last, and we'll be your safety net to catch you if you fall.
Yeah, I love that. And like I said earlier, I love what you're doing. It's such a privilege doing this. And, you know, that was the whole reason I originally started a blog, 11 years ago, and just sharing my story just so I could be that image, that person for somebody else going through it, even if I could just help one person, and then it obviously escalated to TikTok, and I'm like, a random night where I'm like, might as well use this platform too. If it could just like reach somebody to help somebody, and people love hearing that it happens at a Christian campus. It's That's gold. Like the trigger.
It's the true tea.
Yeah. So I'm happy and privileged to just share it,
Oh, well, thank you. And tell us a little bit, last question, what does life look like for you now?
Oh my gosh. If only 11 years ago me could see it. Yeah, I'm married to an amazing man. We've been married for 3 years, and he took my daughter in like his own. I don't think we fully knew what that path was going to be like. Having a step family is not for the faint of heart. It's been challenging, but he is so amazing, and just we've both learned a lot. And I do have a career. I'm a teacher, so I do have a career that utilizes my degree, and life is comfortable. And like, oh my gosh, back then I never thought that I would have that. Like, you get caught in that fight or flight survival mode for so long that it's like, I don't even know what normal life is supposed to look like. And so I'm going to be honest, when I first got my teaching job, it was like, wait, like I can calm down, I can relax, like I don't, I can get like normal 8 hours of sleep, and that's fine. Man, like I can buy myself things, and it doesn't have to be related to my child, like you just get caught in that, like, oh, I gotta make it. And I'm still very much dealing with those feelings today. Just trying to come down and normalize in life. But it's so sweet, and it's definitely given me perspective of just life in general, and hardship, and just those seasons where you're grinding, and knowing that they will end at some point,
Absolutely.
And so my husband and I have had a lot of conversations now just about parenting. And it was funny, we were just talking about it last night, because we're trying to grow our family right now, and just sharing my experiences with him. And, he's terrified, and I'm like, but I would do it again. Like, it's so hard, but I would do it again.
Yes, exactly. And now with a full support system behind you, it's a totally different scenario. If you can do it without much, in the worst timing possible, to doing it once you're a little more settled with a family, it is a different experience.
Absolutely. But it's so rewarding.
So rewarding beyond belief to be able to look back and see all that you overcame, and for your daughter to have that example, and for you to be so vocal about it. You're not keeping your story to yourself. A lot of times I find women want to just forget that it ever happened. Move on, get married, let's pretend, sweep it under the rug. That hardship never happened. But that just further isolates the women who are experiencing it in today's world. And so thank you so much for writing that blog and posting on TikTok so that we could find you, and for taking the time to do this interview with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm just so encouraged by what you're doing.
Oh, well, thank you. And for all of our listeners, we hope to have you back for our next episode of Unplanned and Untold. Bye-bye. Unplanned and Untold drops new episodes every other Wednesday. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review if you love this episode. I'm Caitlin Willing, and this is Unplanned and Untold.